All right, we have spent the whole offseason talking, hyping this up. Georgia fans getting excited, Clemson fans getting excited, just college football fans like myself excited for this matchup. Enough chit chat, talk, whatever. Let's get into the game. This is my official UGA Clemson preview for the kickoff game in Charlotte, North Carolina. Let's get officially college football season. What's going on, everybody? Christian Ballard here with Ballard Sports Media. Thank you so much for tuning in today for this video. We're going to be looking at the Georgia Clemson preview, which is this Saturday, September 4th, 2021, 7:30 kickoff in Charlotte, North Carolina. I almost wanted to go ahead and say Atlanta. I don't know why. This is the biggest game. But I always view the Chick-fil-A kickoff as the biggest game. But, in this case, forget about where the game is played. Georgia and Clemson. Going to be looking at this, breaking down, okay, what do these teams need to do? I already looked at a preview, comparing offense and defense for both of these teams, how they match up against each other. Screw that. Forget about it. How does Clemson win? How does Georgia win? What's the spread? What's the stats look like? Let's get into it. Clemson is favored by 3 points. The over-under is set at 51. Clemson has a 69% chance to win, leaving Georgia with a 31% chance to win. Honestly, I don't know if I want to say that's too low. Obviously, they look at Clemson. They're the favorite, but a lot of people are high on the Georgia Bulldogs this year. The only thing I see in this matchup really right out the gate is I give the edge to Georgia on offense. I give Clemson the edge defensively. And if you ask me, we are in an offensive era where you have to have a quarterback. You got to throw the ball in college football. Both have it, but who has some more experience? I got to give that to Georgia. So I give them the edge offensively. I give Clemson the edge defensively. Looking at history with these teams, and it's a lot. I didn't realize they met this many times, but it doesn't surprise me. These are two very historic college football programs, great schools, universities, SEC and ACC, with Georgia and Clemson. They have met a total of 64 times. This upcoming Saturday will be the 65th time they've ever met. They last met August 30th in 2014 in Athens. Georgia won the game 45-21. Overall, it seems like it's a really good rivalry. They first met back on October 9th, 1897. Georgia shut Clemson out 24-0. They have met 64 times, I mentioned. Georgia has the largest victory of the series, 55-0 back in 1920. They hold the longest win streak in this series between 1920 and 1954. In that span right there, which is a 34-year span, they met 10 times, and Georgia won all 10 games. And Georgia won the last matchup. You go back to 2014 in Athens. Hold on. Go back to 2014 in Athens, August 30th in 2014. Georgia won 45-21. And here we are now, 42-18-4. Georgia leads the series. They get their 43rd overall win over Clemson this Saturday. Or could Clemson, who has been beaten down in this series quite a bit, get their 19th win? We are going to find out. They also are scheduled to meet in a few years in Atlanta. I'm assuming right here, August 31st, 2024, will be another kickoff, and it looks like it being in Atlanta on August 31st will be the Chick-fil-A Classic. Let me move the camera over a little bit. I need to be able to see all this. Okay, so September 4th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, right after Alabama versus Miami on ABC, same channel, different destination, different time. I'll do a Miami preview, Miami and Alabama official breakdown and preview later on. Okay. Charlotte, North Carolina, home of the Carolina Panthers, the NFL team, Bank of America Stadium. Looking at the FPI and everything, Clemson has a 69% chance to win this game. They are favored by 3. The over-under is 51, so they expect not a whole lot of offense firepower, but they maybe expect it somewhere in the 30s or in the 20s. There's a lot of great defense on these rosters, and especially, again, I mentioned I give Clemson the edge defensively. I think they're going to have the best defense in college football this upcoming season, and that's coming from an Alabama fan who is very high on what we have coming back defensively. I think we'll be top 5 somewhere, but I do believe Clemson will have the best defense. They just have so much firepower. They got a great line. They got a great secondary. They're going to get in the face of JT Daniels in this game, but JT Daniels kind of faced that last year when he took over for Georgia. He's faced some pressure. He's taken a sack or 2. He's gotten back up, though, and he's fought hard. And that brings us to the quarterback matchup. You got JT Daniels of Georgia going up against DJ Uiagalelei with Clemson. Overall, these two quarterbacks are outstanding and terrific. Great arm for both of these guys. Both are very mobile. And if you didn't know, obviously I'm sure you knew about DJ, but yes, JT Daniels was, believe it or not, a 5-star recruit. I don't say that to be a jerk or nothing, but I didn't know who he was. I didn't even know he was at USC. I never heard the name JT Daniels until he stepped on the field for the Georgia Bulldogs, if I'm just being honest with you guys. So, you look back at last year, DJ, 914 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, but of course last year, you give some credit to Trevor Lawrence. He was still the quarterback, but he had a game or 2 where he caught COVID and he had to sit out the game, and DJ had to come in. A key game was in South Bend. It was in overtime. I don't remember the exact score, but it was like a shootout in the 40s, right? I think it was like 47-40 in double OT in South Bend against Notre Dame. Well, he showed himself there. Overall last year, 78 of 117, 66.7 completion percentage, 914 yards for DJ as a backup, by the way. Well, and of course, 1 or 2 games like the Boston College and the Notre Dame game. But 5 touchdowns, no picks, which is impressive for a true freshman to go out there, start a game or 2, and even if he's on mop-up time, not have any interceptions. But that's what DJ does so well, is he will pick apart defenses. JT does that pretty well too, but I kind of noticed watching both of those guys last year, if you're giving me a quarterback that can pick apart a defense, that can read it and say, okay, I need to move this guy out of the way, or I need to just throw the ball away to make a read. Not that JT can't do that, but I just feel like DJ, I give him the edge a little bit there, and I just think he's a little bit more capable of doing that. He's a 5-star recruit just like JT Daniels was. But does 5-star ultimately automatically mean generational talent? I don't think it does. I don't necessarily see JT Daniels as a generational type of guy, but I do see those characteristics in DJ Uiagalelei. So you got JT and you got DJ. Okay, how do these teams win? We're going to break that down, and then I'll ultimately get to my score prediction. Keys for UGA. Speaking of DJ Uiagalelei, you got to pressure him. You got to get to DJ. You got to pressure him, show him some weakness, or have him show some weakness, when he's in that pocket. Georgia's front 7, outstanding. They bring a lot back. Clemson's O-line, I'm sure is going to be great. But both of these really have quite a few freshmen or whatever on the offensive line. They bring some freshmen in, Trent Howard, Tristan Lay, um, but they bring some guys back. Jacob Edwards is on the offensive line. He's from Vestivia Hills over in Alabama up here. They bring a guard back. Looking at Clemson, by the way, Matt Bockhurst from Cincinnati, Ohio. They bring a couple guys back. So they got some experience, right? And that's the one thing Clemson does well. Even with freshmen, they could develop pretty well and pretty fast. But at the same time, when you're working with a lot of freshmen, especially for this O-line, it's hard to develop. Like, you can develop one player, Dabo. Dabo is that kind of coach. Nick Saban's that kind of coach. I think Kirby Smart's that kind of coach too. There's very few coaches you could look at and say, doesn't matter if they have an experience, they can work with it. Dabo's one of those coaches. Georgia with Kirby Smart is one of those coaches too. So the keys for UGA, you got to pressure DJ Uiagalelei, but you got to show whatever weakness the O-line for Clemson will have. And this is week 1, by the way. So right out the gate, they're playing each other to kick the season off. So it's not like they have some warm-up games before this. They have the off-season of practice. All right, they got, whatever fall camp or whatever's coming up that's already happened. And then they get at it. Then they fight. Then they play on the field. Pressure DJ, show the O-line weakness of Clemson. That's how Georgia wins this game. The defense has been great in recent years. And I think it's going to be great this year for Georgia. But, going back to, DJ and everyone that he has, on the offense, you got all these, you got Sweeney's sons, Will Sweeney, Drew Sweeney. You got Justin Ross back. Joseph Nagata is a key receiver I would keep my eye on too, right? DJ's got to step his game up. He was great last year. And he did amazing last year. He stepped in for Trevor Lawrence, and it was like Trevor Lawrence didn't leave the field. I'm not here to say DJ's better, but he might be just as good, honestly, if you want to look at it like that. He could be. I'm going to hold my tongue on that one. But yes, Georgia has got to get to DJ. Get through the offensive line, because Georgia's got a great defensive front. They bring a lot of guys in. I'm not sold on Clemson's O-line this year. I'm sold on the offense as a whole, but the O-line probably would be one of the more weaker parts of the team. Ultimately, Georgia's got to get through there. They got to get pressure, sack DJ, just pressure him. You don't have to sack, just pressure him, man. Question his decision-making. Get in his head. That's all you got to do, Georgia. So you pressure him. You show the O-line weakness. The defense has got to be great. It's been great in recent years. Again, they just got to step it up. I think Georgia's defense will start out kind of slow. I don't want to say soft, but I think that, they lost some key guys like Eric Stokes. I think Azeez Ojulari. They lost. They've lost a couple key players to the draft even this year, and even in recent years. And yes, they bring a lot back. They do, which is incredible and great for Georgia on the defensive side of the ball. Jordan Davis comes back. Trayvon Walker. They got this guy Nazir Stackhouse. I've heard that name quite a bit. They bring Devontae Wyatt. They bring a lot back. Some guys, Malcolm Brown is a freshman incoming that I've heard a few rumors about. I've heard that name. I've seen his high school film. He looks pretty good. There's some inexperience on defense for Georgia, but there's also a couple key leaders that can maybe help the inexperience get some experience, get some leadership, be better, learn the system, and just get after it. But ultimately, still, bottom line is this, right? I give the edge to both offenses. I just think it's going to be an offensive game. I don't think it's going to be like the Rose Bowl we saw a few years ago. I don't think it's going to be like a 48-45 Iron Bowl like we saw in 2019 or nothing. It ain't going to be one of those. But I don't think it's going to be all defense. It's not going to be all offense. It's like up and down. Maybe there's, some moments in the game. You might see an interception. You'll definitely see a punt or two in this game. But ultimately, there's a lot of firepower on these offenses. Again, the keys for Georgia to win: pressure, DJ, and get through the O-line of Clemson. Have those inexperienced guys coming in a little bit, show some weakness, get after them and pressure them. The defense has been great. Clemson's offense is a whole nother level. There is some inexperience and some question marks that I personally have about Georgia's defense this year. They got to step it up even just the slightest bit, and they might have a really good chance. And JT needs a fast start. I think for the Clemson defense, it's just going to get better throughout the game. So, you don't look. If you have a drive where you have to punt and you're Georgia and JT, don't hang your head on that. But ultimately, man, you got to get it like it's going to be a shootout. Put your foot on the gas pedal of your offense and don't let up. That's what you do. That's all you got to do. So ultimately, Georgia's got to get off to a fast start offensively. Clemson needs to have a A-game type of defense, and I think that they will. But, man, I'm very high on Georgia this year. I would not be surprised if they ran the table, made the playoffs, won the SEC, and just won it all. I wouldn't be surprised by that. I expect this to be a close game. That being said, folks, I'm not going to make this too long. I'm going to cut the story short. This is going to be a hell of a matchup. Week 1 in Charlotte, North Carolina. We've been talking about it all off season, hyping this up, and now the time has come. This all being said, I'm going to stick to my guns that Georgia wins this game. But the final score prediction will be Georgia 34, Clemson 30. 4-point game. Now, is this is the big question. Is that JT with a game-winning drive? Or is it maybe the defense puts a stop to DJ? That's the big question. I really don't know what to touch there. I really don't know. But I think it's going to end up being something like a 35-31 or something. I'm going to stick to something like 34-30. But you guys obviously comment below. Or maybe I'm premiering this for you guys. Comment in the live chat as you're watching this what you expect to see, where you see this game going, who wins, who do you want to win. I'm just going to be straight with you. I want Georgia to win because I'd love to see Clemson take an early loss in the season. And it would definitely shake some things up because, they got, some teams in there like Miami and North Carolina that are not the favorites, obviously, because of Clemson. But we could see some shakeup in the ACC this year. It might not be Clemson. North Carolina could win it. Miami could win it. There's a team or two out there. And I'll tell you what, Georgia plays a key factor in this. Because if Georgia wins this game, they hand Clemson a loss right there out of the gate, week 1. That's it. I mean, it's not over for Clemson. But, ultimately, again, you look at the Coastal, Miami or North Carolina, if they win the ACC over Clemson, then Clemson would ultimately have 2 losses. You don't put 2-loss teams in the playoffs, especially if they didn't win their conference. It would shake some things up a little bit, in my opinion. Has me curious. But anyways, 34-30 for week 1. Georgia gets the W over the Clemson Tigers. I love you guys. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in and watching today. Please like, comment, and subscribe right here to Ballard Sports Media for more sports content. I love you guys. Jesus loves you. Y'all remember that. Hey, do me a favor. Share this out on social media. On the road to 500 subs. I've been grinding. I've been putting out quite a few videos lately. Just been working on this. I love y'all. Hope y'all have a blessed week. God bless. And as always, Roll Tide, Ballard Sports Media, checking out. Love y'all. Good luck to both of these teams. It's going to be a heck of a matchup. Love y'all. Woo!